This video is in response to the question regarding a class I took that I enjoyed participation in versus a class I took where I did not enjoy participation in. A class that immediately came to mind in terms of enjoying participation was a social studies class that I took in, I think, 7th or 8th grade. This class was one of my favorites throughout the entirety of my schooling, and obviously the teacher was a favorite of mine as well. I think the main reason that this class was so engaging was because of the level of student participation. This class was not held like a lecture class, which by middle school many of your classes are, just teacher talk and then student note-taking. And this class was really focused on student participation, mainly in discussions. So we discussed Think, Pair, Share in this module, and he did a lot of that. We had a desk partner that sat next to us, and we would get a new topic and then do a paired reading and discuss it prior to discussing it whole class. And I think this not only engaged me because there was a socialization aspect to it, but also because I could plan what I was going to say prior to the whole group discussion, which would always follow. And this is a really valuable tool for English language learners as well, because it decreases the participation anxiety when students can plan and sort of figure out what they're going to say and expand on some ideas by talking to their partner. Another thing that he did that really rendered a lot of whole class participation was skits. So we watched that video in this module where the teacher had the students act out the Mayflower arrival and the Pilgrims. And I remember this social studies teacher did that, did a very similar thing where we all had a role, and we were learning about like the U.S. and the Constitution and the colonies, and all of us were given a colony or a state, and we acted out and moved around the room the foundation of the 13 colonies in order, and then all of the states, and that was really interesting. And I think the movement portion of that is also really engaging and can be a great visual for English language learners. This teacher was also extremely supportive, and I think that cuts down, obviously, on participation anxiety. If you know that regardless of a right or wrong answer, you're going to be supported by your educator, then you're going to want to share your opinion. So things like praise for participation, not just for a right answer. So I frequently told my pre-K students, oh, thank you for being brave and sharing, or good job speaking in front of the class, things like that. And that can be a great tool as well. In terms of a class that I did not enjoy, I'm just thinking about all my college lecture classes that were exclusively teacher talk and then questions to the whole class where we would raise our hand and answer the question. These classes are always really lacking in participation, and there's lots of moments where the instructor would ask a question to the class and no hands would come up. And I think this has a lot to do with engagement, that when you're not engaging your students, there's going to be a lack of participation. And lecture-modeled classes do not lend themselves well to student engagement. There is also the problem where you are simply, a lot of the time, regurgitating information that you're being taught rather than doing some higher order thinking and really delving into the information. I think discussion and things like Think, Pair, Share can be great for this. And in lecture classes, you're just regurgitating things that you read in a text or took notes from the lecture about. I also think that When the numbers are high, so lecture classes are generally 50 plus students. When numbers are high, participation can also be affected because there's not time for everyone to share their point of view, and this can be stressful for students. So that's it. Thank you.